Hi, Joe. I am New Moon, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my page. So happy to have you here. So, first let me just introduce myself. I am again New Moon. Um, I am a visual artist. I am also a musician. And I also would like to define myself as a healer. So this channel is definitely going to be all things art, um, all things music, but we'll also be throwing in like a little bit of wellness, but it's all going to be encompassed in spirituality. So definitely be aware of some aspects that I will be bringing that aren't necessarily literal or tangible. They're going to be a little bit more, elusive food for thought beyond what we would call our physical plane. So I definitely look forward to talking to you all. One of the first things, before I forget, I am a licensed esthetician. Skincare was part of my life for about 5, 6 years. And I still dibble and dabble as far as like the makeup artistry, lashes, brows. Um, so there's that. Also, I am, like I said, a visual artist. So I have been pretty much an artist all my life ever since I was a child. Finger paint was my thing. Definitely took it to the next level with college, taking college level art. And I also have a background in business. I currently work in tech, so you might hear me throw out some technical things, but this channel is just pretty much to discuss pretty much everything. I'm go on my I'm personally on my own personal spiritual journey. And as I grow, you grow, we grow. So I invite you to take this journey with me. I look forward to hearing any insights and sharing, and just really building community here. This is community. So I welcome all aspects, all opinions, insights. And if there are topics that you would like to cover, definitely bring it up. Let me know in the comments, whatever below. I do want to let you know I am also a blogger. So I do run a blog part-time. And you can find that at New Moon Creations. That's NUMOON Creations, CreationsCreationsS.com. So newmooncreations.com. That being said, one of the first things I wanted to kind of touch on today is color, what it is, what it's probably not. So with that, let's get into it. So one of the things that really has stood out to me as an artist is learning a little bit more about color. We see white, we see black, and we see everything in between. But what really is it? So in this personal journey, I like to use color as a means to express myself. And I also notice the duality of colors. So that being said, I'm going to pull up some information I have here. And basically, color is the aspect of any object that can be described in terms of hue, lightness, and saturation. In physics, color is associated specifically with electromagnetic radiation of a certain range of wavelengths visible to the human eye. Radiation of such wavelengths constitute that portion of the electromagnetic spectrum known as the visible spectrum. It's also known as light. So the first thing that comes to mind when I think of that is a prism. when you take a prism and you actually shine white light through it, you get all colors of the rainbow on that through that prism. So when we see white, we're in essence seeing light, and we're seeing light manifested. So now that we see light manifested, we have blue, orange, yellow, green, purple. Or where do we go from here? So I like to think of colors we think of colors, we think of certain emotions, right? And that is how I do most of like my own personal intuitive pieces. That's how I get in touch with myself. It's been something that's a part of my personal spiritual journey. And I definitely encourage, if you would like, to see for yourself how working with color can help you better get in tune with yourself. So I did draw something up, and it is called How Are You Feeling Today? So I know it's backwards, but it's what it says, and you see my chart here. When you look at color, you have dualities of things. So you can see red as, passion, courage, or you can see it as anger and aggression. In the same token, we can see yellow as happy and sunlight, but sometimes we see yellow as caution or slow down, So I say this to say, when we think of color, we're looking at how we're bending our light, or probably the lack thereof, because we need to mention this is where black comes into play. Black isn't essentially a color. Black is actually the absence of light. So when I think about that, if you ever take take a color, let's just say red, for instance. If you keep adding black and keep adding it and keep adding it, eventually, if you get too much black in it, it's going to completely absorb the color, and you're just going to get, black. It's kind of like how we shape and bend things. So I like to look at black as not only the absence of light, but also how we can choose to bend it. So on a spectrum for me, personally, I can feel, blue. And I like to put that on a polarity. I like to put blue as in it can just be a regular light blue. And that can represent calm, peace, tranquility. But in the same token, I can add a little bit more dark to it. And that dark can be a little bit more sad, depressed, so on and so forth. You understand? So I like to add black on a scale to kind of gauge on a polarity where I am, because the whole strive is to find some type of balance. We can own our dark. We can own our sadness. We can own the negative aspects of self and hold space for that. But also making sure that we don't allow it to absorb too much of our energy, and kind of shift and look at what the opposite of what that could possibly be for us. So a primary example, like I said, I was feeling really blue one day. I was feeling really, we all have our ups and downs. And, it's been a real change for me with everything that's been happening in, of course, the world we know, as well as just being a human being, right? But I realized in that moment of feeling blue and really taking the time out to, draw my little piece and to see what's going on, I realized that, maybe I'm not communicating. Maybe I need something more nurturing to keep me more calm and at peace. And so I was able to go ahead and create a little bit more. Something to take my mind and take that depression, realize where it was coming from, take that negative energy and turn it into something where I can manifest something else. And that came out in a beautiful piece. I will definitely be posting some of my pieces on this page, so stay tuned. I'm really excited to share. But for now, I'm just sharing some thoughts as far as color. And we all are light. And that's what we are. And when we look at the polarity of things, we can determine how we're going to bend that, how we're going to react that, if we want to shift that. I don't always see black as a negative thing either. I always see, if it's the absorption of light, then obviously there's something that needs to be taken a closer look at, right? So there's really no negative or positive way to think of emotions. I'd like to just think of them as polarities on a scale. Like you have water, you have hot, you have cold, but it doesn't change the fact that it's water. Temperature is just a difference of polarities. It's just, we all have negative and a positive. You can't have light without dark. And it's learning how to reconcile the two and own both. In this day and age of culture, we're taught to run away from the dark and embrace only the light. But sometimes there are things that need to be seen in the dark as well. And when you use dark, you can use it to create shadows that illuminate the light, actually, that bring out the light aspects. When you do certain paintings like this behind me, some of the shadow brings out the brightness and vibrancy of the colors behind me. So in the same way, when we look at darkness, we can either look at it as a way to absorb us and completely engulf us, or we can look at it as a way to shape and bend and reflect the light even better, if that makes any sense. But again, these are just some things. My chart scale, I'm going to be using this every day. I'm going to show you an example of just some intuitive art I've been doing. This one, most recently, I don't know if you see it. I know it's backwards, but for me, orange at the time represented anxiety, and I realized that I needed to be a little bit more creative. So I kind of outlined in the middle blue, because that's kind of where that little dark clouds come in. But taking that and realizing I needed to stop. That was my message in all of this scribbling, to stop, take a breath, and take a beat. I know I mentioned earlier too, we're going to be talking about sound, but that's going to be a little bit later. And I definitely play the guitar, so you guys are going to have to get used to me busting that out every once in a while. But yeah, this piece right here was definitely something to get me to stop and think. Intuitive art doesn't have to be anything grand. It can just be something as simple as you grabbing some markers, grabbing some color pencils, grabbing some paint brushes and some paint. It doesn't necessarily matter what medium you're using, as long as you're using something to kind of to tangibilize it, because emotions are so complex and color is just as complex when you think about it. But yeah, when we can take a look and put a color, we're putting it in our own reality now. Now we're light, and we're manifesting that aspect of light that we're seeing. And sometimes we don't know what type of light we're beaming out to the world. And so it's good for us to take a moment and see and analyze what that is, and what that color means for us, and what the opposite of that color could mean for us. And what are some things we can do to shift that? I know for me, it helps for me to go for a walk. Walking has always been my thing. Journaling. I'm definitely a journal. I've had journals since I was like in middle school. I have stacks of them. It's ridiculous. But these are some stress relievers. These are some things that have helped, being near water. If you live close to a lake or pond, stream, ocean, some of the best things you could do is just take a walk, be around water if, weather permits. And allowing yourself to be creative and getting out of the head. This is what these exercises are for. Not expecting it to be perfect, but just shining that light, getting perspective on it, and then, finding ways to shift through that. So I will be giving some, little things that work with me throughout the process, and throughout this journey. And I ask you to stay tuned and bear with me as we go on this wonderful ride together. With that being said, just stay tuned. What I'm going to do is break down color a little bit more and introducing chakras and how that can definitely help shift what I like to call your paradigm. So stay tuned for that. I hope you like this video. If you find this informative, just definitely give it a like. And also give me some insight if you definitely feel a certain way about color, and how it helps you, or, if it's any other type of perceptions or views that you would like to provide. I'm open. This is a community here, so we're all family. And with that, I wish you all the best. Love and light and moon salutations. Take care.